All right, everybody. We are here. We're about to get started. We'll begin with the Lord's Prayer and we'll go from there. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Okay, well, listen, guys, guys and gals, we have got an action-packed, literally extremely exciting Amazon Q&A webinar. Of course, as always, the main course is going to be answering your biggest questions. Actually, I have one that I just got in a few minutes ago by email. That I think it's going to be a really fun one to answer. But we have lots of news to share with you, and it's going to be an exciting day. Liz, are you there?
Hey, Mike, I'm here. How are you?
I was okay before, but now that you're here, I'm basically spectacular.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And we've got some news. I'll get it out of the way from the very beginning. I mentioned this in the email dispatch, and I'm going to bring this up as the event goes on because we've got a lot of people signing in and signing up and jumping on right now. But we really have a lot of exciting stuff to come on this event. I promised a big surprise, and we've got a big surprise. How many people on this webinar right now saw the email dispatch I just sent out a couple hours ago? How many people saw that? Give me like a number one in your question box if you saw the email address that just went out. So Ralph, Joel, Javon, Jay, Tim. Okay, great. So let me just do one thing here. I'm gonna do a little setting thing. And what kind of stuck out to you? Out of those of you, we've got lots and lots of people. Daryl. Daryl's getting an Amazon. Daryl's very successful with SEO client consulting. That's great to hear it. Greg, Mark, that was Daryl Osborne. Greg, Mark, Neil. A lot of people read the email dispatch. So did anything jump out to you? Kind of exciting news in there? Something that really piqued your interest? Let me know. I'm genuinely curious. I could pull up the OMG Way dispatch. It's right here. This is what it looked like. It's in your email inbox. So if there's anything in there that really jumped out at you, really got you excited, let me know. Let's see. Mark said dollar, 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 dollar. It was like dollar signs is what he put down. Ralph said a high monthly income. And Daryl says, hey. And Joel says, David is on fire. I agree. David is on fire. And Liz, we arranged. Well, first of all, how did you feel out of curiosity seeing that earnings reports? Obviously, we've gotten a lot of great ones in recently.
I was super pumped for David. I mean, he had, I think he private messaged me or somehow we kind of crossed paths, and I know he gave me a number that he wanted to shoot for, and I told him, you can do better than that. So he proved it to me, and he did better than that, just like I thought he could.
That's an awesome feeling. Well, would anybody in the audience? Let me ask you this, guys. Would anybody in the audience like to meet and kind of get to congratulate David in person? Just type something in the question box if you'd like to meet David and kind of congratulate him and just get to talk to him person to person. If you'd like to do that, let us know in the question box. Nobody? Okay, all right, that's fine. No, that's fine. I mean, I went through all this work to get him on here, but nobody wants to meet him. All right, see you later. No, I'm just joking. You all know me by now. That's the same stupid joke that I tell every time. Oh, wow. Andrea even gave him hugs. So we got lots of yeses to write on for sure. I would really like everybody here. And I just made David an organizer. He's normally in the audience, but I just made him one of the organizers, so he can see he can see your feedback and stuff like that. Gary Johnson just typed in. Congratulations, Gary says, congratulations, David. Come on. Yes, 2 exclamation points. So if you guys want to reach out, and of course, this isn't the first time we've heard from David. We got a tremendous, very exciting earnings report from him just a couple months back, I think it was. And he's been a contributor in the Facebook group. He actually just shared some really neat data yesterday on a giveaway that he's doing with Susan Ann McDowell. Susan obviously is a genius, and we're so glad to have her in our community. She's just awesome. so he's just really been a big and growing part of this community, which is just it's just really exciting for us, to see OMGers just come in and lay the groundwork and then start taking their first steps, making their first sales, and then start saying to themselves, "Wow, this is really happening. It's really coming together." Scaling up, shooting for big numbers, and getting in there, and then absolutely crushing it. So it's really, really exciting. Lots of congratulations. And David, are you there?
Yes, I am, Mike.
David, are you able to see it can be new to people with GoToWebinar. Are you able to see the questions box that's
Yeah, I just discovered that, so it's pretty amazing. Thank you everyone for your comments.
yeah. Out of curiosity, I'm always curious, how does it feel for you? I know that you've gotten some messages today, some congratulations, either from people that you've talked to in the past or from some new people, and then seeing this feedback here. How does that feel like for you?
Yeah, it's a different experience for me. I've not really been part of this type of thing before, so yeah, it's going to take a few days to get used to. But I'm just privileged to be part of OMG and to have had some success, and hopefully I can give a lot back and inspire others to achieve similar success.
I love it. I love it. That's really obviously the whole city on a hill, pay it forward attitude is what really gets us going here. I'm not going to read your whole letter here, but it was really this is pretty emotional for me when I saw it. I'm just going to read the first couple paragraphs here. Following the webinar last week, I promised you an updated earnings report. Liz challenged me to hit 50K for August, and I am over the moon to have smashed through that and hit 176,000 gross sales for August. That includes 85,000 pounds sterling in Amazon, and another 24,000 on eBay. And you talked about this more later on in the letter. It actually could have been closer to 35 grand. You ran into a bit of a setting issue with your eBay where you actually weren't allowed to sell anymore. And then, of course, you attached the proof. And then you said, I did a lot of thank yous last month, but I'd like to say again that none of this would have been possible without OMG, the family, the coaches, and the encouragement and the kick in the hashtag that I needed. Thank you so much to Dave and Greg for kicking the whole city on a hill off and bringing such an amazing team together. And of course, thank you to Liz and John and the wonderful people we've had inside of Amazon. I'm kind of adding this on myself, but obviously John Gill and Jack Harbell. I know that I'm sure that David. Actually, I know for a fact. Oh, John's on. John's on. Okay,
Can you hear me?
Oh, hey, John, there you are. You know what? I think you're on as Liz somehow. That's really strange.
Yeah, Liz sent me the link. I've been on from the beginning, going back and forth.
So what happened was Liz sent you her login link, and then she logged in. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But that's great, John. Well, John, just out of curiosity, what's it like for you? Because I know when you were getting started, you had your background. You're a police officer, and then I think you got a little bit into investment or something along those lines. I don't remember exactly what it was, but and then obviously you got into Amazon. That really changed the game for you. Obviously, you're able to remember back to your days as a police officer and so forth. But what's it like for you seeing guys like David come in and just really smash it out of the park? And we've gotten lots of great earnings reports in recently from OMGers. David's not the only one. I'm just curious what it's like for you.
No, I mean, I think it's so cool to see people changing their lives because, I mean, this business, it's there. I mean, it's absolutely there, and it's not something that you have to be a rocket scientist to do. It's just, I think a lot of it, which I've talked about many times, is mindset and just taking the action, and it's there for the taking. So it's so great to see somebody to do that, and I congratulate Dave for his great success. I know what it did for me, and I know how that felt, and I know how it, what it did for my family and how it changed their lives. It's just so cool to see that happening to other people, especially people within our community.
Well, and the thing about it is, it's really easy in the day to day. I do this. Everybody's done this to get kind of stuck in tunnel vision. I totally agree with you, John, because we can get stuck in this tunnel vision. And like, for example, this time next year, somebody who hasn't gotten started yet. Maybe even somebody who's in OMG, maybe even somebody who's on this event. Everyone who's on this event. Look, 12 months from now, it's going to be whatever day it is. Of course, I have absolutely no idea what day it is. September something or other. You guys are lucky that I even know the month, but September something. What is it, 7th or so? So it's like So there you go. So this time next year, it's going to be September 7th. 2016, and the reason I bring that up, it's going to happen one way or the other. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And the question is, what's it going to look like? And David, I looked it up. You joined not quite, like it was what I remember looking it up, and then I don't remember the exact number, but you joined us quite a while back, almost a year back. Do you have a recollection?
I think it was actually March last year, so it's over a year now.
Over a year. So you joined over a year ago, and it took you over a year to get here. I mean, does it feel worth it? Because I know a lot of people say like, oh, well, look, Fletch came in and made 10 grand in his first 45 days, and if in 45 days I haven't been making money. I mean, for you obviously made that commitment to get stuck in, because I didn't start seeing these really juicy earnings reports from you. I mean, gosh, I don't think I started. I think your first earnings report, I feel like it was like maybe like 4 or 5 months ago. It was pretty recent. And so, what was that progression like when you got inside of OMG and dealt with the materials and stuff like that? Like, can you give people a sense of what your experience, including also if there were some outside things that you came upon that helped you, or some perspectives? Can you walk us through going from zero to $176,000 in a month, in that time since March of 2014?
Okay, well, when I started out, obviously Amazon wasn't really part of OMG, so that wasn't an option at that time. So I focused on local client consulting, SEO, and went out and got a reasonable number of local clients, some of which I still have now. But I never kind of really made it big, and I had some struggles, and last year there were a few challenges that hit me on a kind of a personal level as well, that interfered with my focus. And I also run another business with my wife, which is the kind of bricks and mortar business. So day to day, I'm kind of being part of that and running that. Less so now. I'm taking a back step on that front. But it kind of got in the way of things, and I got a bit lost and lacked the focus. I was taking some action, but not enough, and got kind of pulled around a little bit. But also when Liz and you and Cotton brought Amazon to OMG, it just struck a chord with me. And all my life I've been in kind of product sales of varying degrees and different types of products. So it just struck a chord with me. I'd used Amazon before, I'd used eBay before, but not with any huge success. That's predominantly with the bricks and mortar business that we have, and it just kind of it rung true with me, and I just took action and ran with it. Had a few hiccups with Amazon that delayed me getting started faster, and I can go into a little bit more detail about the technique that I used, but yeah. I think deep down I'm lazy at heart, bizarrely. So I always the way I channel that is to look at the fastest way to make something happen, and I didn't make that happen with local client consulting, but with Amazon I definitely did by partnering with somebody who had the contacts, who had the connections into manufacturers and top products, and that's what's led me to have the fast success now, combining that with OMG style Amazon listing, keyword research, and perfecting the listing, and then tweaking it and testing it, and getting the results that I've got now.
Yeah, and obviously slamming it home with the promotions with, obviously we do the brute force giveaways. There's the Google SEO, Amazon pay-per-clicks, and all the different ways that we come in and really promote things. Now, here's a funny thing. I hate to have to correct you, but I do have to correct you. We actually had a really quite a significant Amazon training, and we actually already had an Amazon members group, and it was led by Brad Mabry, and it really sparked a basis for us. But I absolutely agree with you. When Liz came in, it was like, I mean, talk about putting it on steroids, and then on steroids on top of that. I mean, things really, really got just incredibly juicy. They got incredibly exciting, added a lot of energy to things. And we had a lot of people involved, in fact, that have helped make this happen, like Mike Bittler, coming in and showing us on flat files. And of course, he's contributing to the community all the time. Kevin, Jen, with their great warehouse, when they come in and they contribute. Obviously, we mentioned Suzanne McDowell, Ty with what she's done. And, of course, I could just go on and on thanking people, and I really feel great about everybody. But one of the people who came along with Liz from the very get-go, from the very beginning, as soon as Liz hit, that's right around when Jack Harvell also emerged, and both of them were shouting from the rooftops, take the blinders off, take the blinders off. Don't think that the only way to get started with Amazon is, for example, like John Gill, the way you got started and you managed to make this work was you just walked in, got on Alibaba, got a product, got it up, and just started rocking and rolling right away. But John, nowadays, sometimes you're seeing people when they take that route kind of run into some barriers where maybe they're spending a lot of money, maybe they don't have much of a sense of what the product is, or maybe they can run into problems on Alibaba or something like that. And so that kind of pure Alibaba going straight to buying a product and buying a private label product and sticking it up and hoping for things. Obviously, in OMG, we're doing things very differently, whether it's getting started with retail arbitrage or like David Fripp is talking about here, partnering with product. And even to this point, you're partnering with product a lot. You have so much experience with the pitfalls of people just coming in and just kind of having the blinders on and having tunnel vision and just thinking, okay, I need to go to Alibaba and I'll just gonna go and find a top 100 BSR product, and I'm gonna clone it and find somebody on Alibaba to make a version of this product, and I'm gonna slam it up there, and I'm gonna be a millionaire. And you run into that a lot. What are some of the pitfalls of taking that approach, John?
Well, first of all, you don't know what you're dealing with. I've been fortunate early on. I only used Alibaba in the beginning because I had no other choice. I didn't know any other route to go, and so I was fortunate. But the challenge with an Alibaba is one, you're dealing with a lot of traders. The other thing, you don't know who you're dealing with, and it's hard to communicate. So you could send them a message, and it could take days before they get back to you. But so I've heard a lot of horror stories where people sent money in on a deposit, and that person disappeared, and they never got their product. So one of the big challenges is you don't know who you're dealing with. But I think more than that, where I see the biggest challenge, and I talk to Amazon people, all the time. And the biggest challenge that I see is not just, the challenge of Alibaba. It's picking the wrong product. I mean, they absolutely pick the wrong product, and they get it from the wrong people. And that's where, for me, the game changer for me was being able to go to China and go to an event like the Canton Fair, where I was able to, so for example, if I was going for a meat thermometer or something like that, which is a big, let's call it an ASM product, there's few selections, and they're usually very, very common selections on Alibaba. But when you go to an event like that, one, you're dealing directly in many cases with the manufacturer, but two, your eyes are opened up to so many different possibilities and options. And when you can hold it in your hand, you can look at it, smell it, taste it, knock it against the wall, and see the quality of the product, that's the game changer. So one of the biggest challenges that I've seen with people who are not doing great is as simple as they just picked and got it from the wrong person.
John, what you're making is a great point. And Liz, I want to get your perspective on this, because one of the things I hear you saying, John, is like, look, people are coming in a lot of cases, and we see this, and I hear the stories too, and they're kind of shutting their eyes and they're throwing a dart against the dartboard, which is a lot like buying a lottery ticket. It's just not going to have a very good effect. Liz, when you came inside of OMG, you were so insistent of this kind of attitude that we just get away from the idea of just picking blindly. And that's why you got your start with arbitrage. That's how Kevin Jin got their start, and lots of other people that we know who are very successful. We know people, Dima and Vlad, for example, they're extremely successful. They got their start with drop shipping, right? But that gave them a different route. They were in the game. They were making some money, just like you were with arbitrage. So they did drop shipping, and that got them in the game. What John is saying is another way of getting "quote unquote" in the game is just going to China and actually seeing the products from the source. But you're really, Liz, you made a really courageous stand and said, look, um, you just can't start on Amazon flying blind. And can, I mean, first of all, do you agree that that's accurate, that you pretty much came out and said that, and kind of comment on that if it makes sense?
Yeah, I kind of like am on the same. I kind of agree with John a lot. I kind of I get picked on quite a bit by everybody that I go to the Canton Fair with because they make fun of me because I always take like what they say is an entourage, because I have several agents, and I've had a lot of people tell me, well, there's no sense in having agents, but agents that just, I mean, there's no other nice way of saying this, but other than they know their shit. And what I mean by that is I like to take agents that just have experience not only working with me, but being out in the floor at shows like that, because then I feel so much more confident when I send them out there to look for products. They know what I want, they know what I like, and they know how to get stuff done. And so with that being said, again, my favorite way to play is like with agents is and taking them to the Canton Fair because again I feel like they're going to be my eyes and ears on the ground when I can't be in China. And so sort of how I like to play it, and I know a lot of people pick on me about it. I know Jin and Kevin always pick on me, and I forget a couple other people pick on me because they say you always have this big group with you when you're in China. It's just kind of crazy. It's just kind of the way that I roll. I mean, that's kind of how I've gotten used to doing things.
Well, and because you're really insistent on this attitude, like you're just, even to this day, you're so humble about it because you're still playing it like you're flying blind. That's the whole thing. Like that's the implication is there never comes a time when you can start blindly picking products. You're always dialed in, just like, we've talked quite a bit about your poker background, and you used to kind of come in, somewhat flying blind, and then you got, the kind of coaching. We've talked about Jared and stuff like that. For people that know your deep backstory, if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. Over time, as you get to know Liz a little bit better, you'll learn a little bit more about her backstory. But regardless, one way or the other, you used to like fly it blind when it came to poker, and you had some success, but you like 10 times your success when you stopped flying blind, and at that point you were unwilling to fly blind. You were unwilling to play hands of poker, for example, when you knew you were on tilt, when you knew that the conditions were against you. You wouldn't try to muscle your way through it. In the same way, to this day, you're always informed as you're making your buying decisions. Whether it's China, and obviously originally you're really informed through retail arbitrage.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's like I wasn't always, and I still to this day make mistakes. So everybody out there that thinks, oh, like, what do you do when you pick the wrong product or whatever? It happens to me to a certain degree, but what you have to understand, even the wrong product will sell if you do marketing on it the right way. And so even making mistakes learn something in the long run. So I've had a couple incidents where recently I actually picked the wrong products. And they were probably wrong for a couple of different reasons and it's going into like unknown territory, so it was like a new category that I really had no clue about, but I kind of like ventured into and I made a mistake, and of course like now looking back in high, I probably shouldn't have done it, but I did it, so now there's really like no turning back on it, and it's still doing decent but not as well as I would have wished it would have done. So again, you still constantly make mistakes in this business, and I just try to minimize those mistakes, but I understand that I'm going to make them. As long as I'm in the business, it's going to keep happening.
Yeah, there's a real importance to that attitude, and you hear it with Liz, you hear it with John, you hear it with the other successful OMGers. And listen, David, for example, you say that you and your wife are running a brick and mortar store. Well, you and I both know, and I've run a brick and mortar store as well. You and I both know that, let's call them mistakes in the quote unquote real world, in the brick and mortar world. Mistakes hurt, like hurt. And mistakes online are like, a lot of times, you just kind of wake up the next day and start all over. And of course, you wish you hadn't made the mistake, but it's just not that big of a deal by way of comparison.
No, totally agree. I suppose the big mistake, as John was thinking too, if you spend too much money on the wrong product and you have it sat there and it doesn't sell online, then you've got a challenge. But in a bricks and mortar business, you're not being able to often reach out to as many people. The beauty of online is even if you make a slight mistake on a product, the likelihood is you'll still sell something. And get some return, and then you get better and improve and make better choices, and go from there. Or in my situation, I'm going after products that I know are successful because other people are already selling them. The product that I currently sell, it's a single product but multiple variations. There are already national retailers already selling that product. They're just rubbish on Amazon and rubbish on eBay. And I've just used Jack's teachings, your videos with Jason Fladlian, just the little tips like that on how best to list, where to put your keywords, and I just tweaked that and perfected that, and very quickly I was outperforming these national retailers with far bigger budgets than me. They have exactly the same product as me, but I'm now way ahead of them. I've now got double their reviews, and I'm smashing them out of the park, which is a great feeling.
Well, and at this point, you're suddenly out of the blue getting to now you're the big cat. Now you're the funny thing is on Amazon, in Amazon world, these big national retailers, they're actually the little guy now, and you're actually the 800-pound gorilla, and that's probably a pretty great feeling.
Oh, it's amazing and the interesting part is, and it helps the agent that well, not so much an agent, but I guess he is. Yeah, he's an agent for manufacturers, and he takes their products out to these national retailers. And I just kind of quizzed him on fancy doing it yourself, and he went to the manufacturer and said, "Would you mind if I did this?" And they said, "Not at all, Ian. We get on well with you. Why not? Recoup something from it." So he does that side of it, and I do the selling online, and he gets to communicate with all my competition, and they're all like, who is this guy? What's he doing? How is he getting ahead of me? So it's to get that feedback's even more awesome.
That's a really, really great feeling. Well, listen, David, we're so excited that you came on this event. I know it's quite late in the UK where you are. What is it, about midnight, 12:30 there?
No, it's 11:30. This is an early one. I normally get on the simulation webinars, and I'm up till 3 a.m., which kills me the next day, but I still do it because I love it. So.
Oh, that's great. That's a great feeling. Well, if as we go on, if there are thoughts that you have or things that you want people to know, including right now, about some things that you might be doing, some discoveries you made. For example, one of the things I've noticed is you're really excited about using eBay. It's funny because of you mentioning that me and Liz were comparing notes just I think either last night or the night before, but I've certainly done well over $1 million in sales on eBay myself. I'm quite certain that Liz has done that much or much more herself. So we actually have quite a bit of a background with eBay, and I think it's really great that you're taking advantage of it. I think it's clearly an important part of your business. Now, the huge difference, of course, with eBay versus Amazon, the biggest difference, of course, is FBA versus fulfilling yourself. How are you handling that challenge?
I'm fairly lucky because I've got a part of the bricks and mortar business. We've got a warehouse here. We already have relationships with national couriers and the postal service. I've obviously upped the negotiating part of that because of the volume that I'm kicking out. But so we kind of had that set up, so it made life a lot easier. If you live in a flat or a house, it's going to be more challenging to do eBay because where do you hold all your stock? So I started out without really doing eBay and shipped it all off via FBA. But I thought I can see my competition doing pretty well on eBay, so I was like, I've got to jump in. And when I started out, I did make a big mistake. I had on Amazon, multi-listings work brilliantly, particularly when you've got a variation, be it a color or a style, be it that in clothing or whatever other product you might have, and that works really well. But on eBay, if you have a multi-listing where someone might a green variation or a black variation or a speckled variation or whatever it might be, it doesn't work as well. You need individual listings, and I only found that out, I suppose, about halfway through last month. So I converted all my eBay listings to things per style variation, and my sales tripled overnight. And luckily, I just put in some processes to kind of automate some of that shipping. So I printed out all my invoices in one go. I uploaded all of the postal information to the postal service system, and I'd literally just put that into place. And luckily, I did, because after a busy long weekend, I was shipping out 200 plus products on a Monday morning. So so luckily, I'd put those systems in place to cope with it. So it is more challenging, of course it is, and actually, I wish I was part of the US, because I forget the two brothers, and Liz will probably know them or have met them, or John may have done, or you may have done. There's two brothers in the US, and I read an article about them that they started out with Amazon when they were at university, and they do eBay selling, and very successful on Amazon as well, like multiple millions on there. But what they use is there's a tool available in the US, not available in the UK or the rest of the world, that will automatically take your eBay order and send it for not FBA, but yeah, I guess it does send it for FBA, but rather than going in and manually filling out a fulfillment within Amazon for a non Amazon sale, that automatically does that for you. So I wish I had that tool, because I'd probably just use that, and then I could just have all my stock sat with Amazon but continue selling on eBay.
Does anybody happen to, I actually myself haven't heard of that tool. Does anybody here actually know what that tool is? Or do you happen to know what that?
Like, I believe it's ShipStation does that.
No, McDowell says it's Joe Lister has the tool.
What's the name of it again?
Joe Lister is the name of one of the brothers.
Joe Lister.
Yeah, that's right. And they didn't actually mention the tool, but I just Googled it, and unfortunately I've messaged them and saying, when have you got this available for the UK? Yes, you don't get as good a FBA shipping fees, so it's more expensive to ship using that method. But as long as your product costs in, then you potentially take all the pain away, because the product goes directly. And the one that I saw, and I'll research it again, and I'll share it in the group. But if you had that available, then you could just have all your products sat with Amazon and ship it out, as long as you're careful on setting the shipping rates.
Yeah.
And the beauty with eBay sometimes is you can have differing. You don't always have to have, once you've got started and you've got your ratings, you don't always have to offer free shipping.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's called joelister.com.
joelister.com. And and the thing that Liz, this is the thing, like, because again, Liz and I had almost identical experience on eBay, shipping game cards, collectibles, and so on. And we both laughed about, like, if Amazon FBA had existed when Liz and I we were almost exactly at the same time starting our first e-commerce businesses, respectively. And we were kind of joking, I guess it was last night, Liz, that if FBA had existed back then, we'd pretty much be billionaires right now.
Yeah, the Pokemon would have blown up the internet.
Oh yeah,
Pikachu would have broken Amazon, definitely.
Well, because what I was doing, and I think you were almost exactly the same thing, because we even talked about it just on stamps.com. I'd be sending out. Sometimes I was doing 4,000 or 8,000 auctions a week. The 8,000, I think, was the most I ever did. And it was ungodly, because you would just sit there, and I was just shipping off cards, just magic cards in little sleeves that would just go in an envelope, and I could just stick the envelope with my insert into the printer and print directly to it. And it was awful. The way is awful by way of comparison. If there's something better out there, at the time, I felt like the king of the world, because I was making, whatever, 20 grand a week, or I don't know, or 10 grand a week in sales, or whatever it was, probably around 10 grand a week in sales. There's certainly some weeks I did better than that, but yeah, it was really, really nuts. So, my advice to anybody, first of all, eBay is absolutely a solid way to get your feet wet and get involved. So don't worry. Like, when we're talking about these shipping issues with Amazon, like, never worry about getting started onesie twosie with things. There's no problem in the world with you getting started online, even with eBay, to test out some products and to try some things out and just to, kind of just to get going. That's great. But what we're talking about is when you start looking at scaling, that's where we start really worrying and saying, not worrying, but saying to ourselves, well, how am I going to handle this? So, in David Fripp's case here, what he's got going on is a pre-existing arrangement with like an FBM situation, with a fill by merchant situation, where he's got a warehouse set up, he's got arrangements to have outsourcers pack those things up, or workers, whatever they're called, pack things up and ship them out. And so those arrangements are already made. So he's made his own like little mini FBA situation. That would be the next
I've
step.
been doing quite a lot of that myself, actually, Mike.
What's that?
I've been doing quite a lot of the shipping out myself.
The packing, the shipping yourself, great. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I've been, and I wanted to do that. I don't want to do it going forward, but I wanted to do that so I would know the
it's
processes.
great. Yeah. Well, and that's the whole, the whole one man gang attitude. I mean, that's what it's about. Like we really, this whole idea of turning up our nose at these individual points. Like I said, there's sort of this. It's like what would I refer to it? It's almost like it's just such a fantasy. There's sort of this internet marketing fantasy out there where, well, like, okay, so this is gonna be like a little bit of a racy reference. So anybody who just can't stand me talking about something like a little bit racy, I guess, can disconnect and then come back in a few minutes. But so for example, the idea, uh, uh, me and David Mills will watch one of these shows like CSI or Law and Order or The Mentalist or whatever, and we call them office porn. Office porn. So the idea is that these shows that people watch are like these fantasy lives where all these coworkers love their jobs, like so they work solving murders or doing whatever the crap it is that they do, and you just have these incredibly competent, skillful people. Like every single person on every single one of these shows is just so competent at what they do and so caring. Yeah, maybe they're a little quirky this way and that way, but they never have money problems. They're never short on rent. They never break up with anybody. There's never any office politics hardly, or if there is, it's all neat and makes sense. And we call it office porn because of course it's just nonsense. Like nobody's real office life is like that. And of course the idea behind porn, the link to porn is that the idea of porn is that, like, let's say a guy like walks into a room and some incredibly beautiful woman who he's never met just immediately throws off all of her clothes, rushes up to him, immediately has sex with him, looks completely satisfied, and then runs right back out the door. Like that's the idea. Well, so there's also like internet marketing porn. What I would call like internet marketing porn is this idea, and we were just discussing with John Gill, where, for example, like the Amazon version of this fantasy would be like, oh, well, you read some guidelines, go on Alibaba, place your order, send it into Amazon, send out a press release or whatever, get a couple friends and family to review it, and then you're a millionaire forever. In fact, you're just going to make $1 million a year forever. And the funny thing is, just so you know, some people have literally done just that and become millionaires. I know some of them, but there's for every one person that did that, there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people who tried that and basically didn't wind up going anywhere, like wasted money on product and, a lot of heartache and a lot of suffering, and they just spun their wheels and they're wondering, when their ship is going to come in. So I just kind of wanted to point that out. The idea of worrying about like just getting in the trenches, getting your fingernails dirty, doing some packing and shipping, doing some fulfillment by merchant, or selling some products on eBay. When we're talking about sourcing, look, John and Liz are both millionaires, okay? But they're going regularly to China to find new products. Why? Well, because they're getting their fingernails dirty. And the reason why, this is something similar to what David Fripp said. What David said is, look, I'm kind of lazy, so I want to like really zoom ahead, right? Like John and Liz are not going to China, for example, because it's the hard way of doing things. They're going to China because it's the easy way of doing things. It's the easier way of doing things. And actually, you know what? Speaking of which, we're almost 40 minutes in, and I feel like a little bit of a knucklehead because I haven't even mentioned yet. I know like the last couple of weeks, we've talked about this, and look, my apologies to anybody who's getting this message a little bit late. I sincerely apologize, but it just kind of snuck up on us. We didn't expect it to happen this fast, but John and Liz's mastermind is just about to sell out. That we have limited number of slots, and there's only a handful left. I personally don't expect it to last past. What I said in my email was I said probably the next 48 hours. Honestly, I don't even know if it's going to go the next 24 hours. But regardless, here's where to get the details on this. This is white hot. It's omgmachines.com/Liz-John mastermind. And let's see, it's right here. omgmachines.com/John-Liz mastermind. And I'm going to set that up in the chat box to everybody. So you can get it, and I'll actually post it on. I think I actually did already post it on the Amazon group and in the HB Team Facebook group. But if you can't find it, you can always email me, omg@omgmachines.com. But this is omgmachines.com/Liz-John Liz-on-mastermind.php. And this is extraordinary. This is something that's never happened before. It very possibly, even likely, may never happen again. But this is John and Liz, two Amazon legends, two living Amazon legends, individuals that are not just extremely successful doing their own duplicatable Amazon businesses. They're not just successful themselves, but they're very caring people with an incredible track record of helping OMGers just have this unbelievable success. And we're really heartened by it. They're taking people under their wing. A small group coming over to China with them to the Canton Fair. It's going to happen in October, and all the details are listed on this letter right here. And this is, if you're really serious about taking your Amazon to the 6-figure per month level, like David Fripp is, or even the 7-figure per month level, like some OMGers are, where you can hit that 7-figure a month. I mean, boy, that's really something. I know, the first time Liz hit that 7-figure a month on Amazon, you should have seen her eyes dancing, just really excited. And we want you to hit that level, and it's all the better for us if you do. Now, this is not an OMG offer, even though it's hosted on an OMG page. I'm not getting an affiliate commission for sharing this. I'm doing this because I massively believe in it. I've been beating the drum about this. I have no financial connection whatsoever with this. So this is purely coming from my heart. And the part of my heart it's coming from is the part that's really, really greedy for just these big, juicy, mouth-watering earnings reports like we're sharing today with David Fripp. I want to see your first 5-figure per month earnings report, your first 6-figure per month earnings report, and yes, 7-figure per month earnings reports. I can tell you this at this event in China, because it's not just going to be Liz and John. Now, that's going to be the main course. They're going to be, the main people that are with you, and they're going to be guiding you through various forks in the road, where you're going to come to a fork in the road, and you're not going to know, do I go left? Do I go right? And they're going to say, you're going to go left, and the reason why is, ABC, or, oh, this is the point where you need to really be doubly careful and choose this route. And the reason why is, from my own personal experience, I didn't do that. And here's the pitfall that I ran into. Or even, guess what? This decision that you're fretting over right now, go left, go right, makes no difference. You're going to wind up in the same place. And that can cut months, if not years, off of getting started. And it's certainly going to affect your scaling, how quickly you scale up and grow and explode. And I've come out and utterly endorsed this. Anybody who's emailed me personally and said, Mike, level with me, what's going on with this? I've been like, oh my gosh, you've got to get on this, because I have personally done this. I was, kind of like a personal guinea pig kind of thing, where I went out with Liz in China. It changed everything for me. It completely altered the way I do things. I saw it changing everything for others around it. Also, with Liz and John, they're also just really surrounding you with almost like an entourage of Amazon millionaires. There's going to be several people helping out at this event, and significantly helping out at this event, making between 6 figures per month. And John, some of these people are making even 7 figures per month. John, I would like you, because this is this is going to be pretty much the last chance for people to jump in on this. John, could you, just in case people haven't heard of it or they need a recap, could you start, just take it from the top and tell people what's going on with this? Because I think this is such a critical juncture in people's lives. And just the way circumstances wind up, this may be the most important webinar that several individuals in this audience ever attend, because it completely changes their life. John, please let people know what's going on with this.
Well, as you mentioned, Liz and I are doing a mastermind over in China during the Canton Fair. And what it's going to consist of is 2 hardcore days in a conference room where we're going to go over all the strategies, systems, tactics, and tricks that we use, not theory, not hearsay, not rumors, the hardcore stuff that we use that have helped us and our associates, our super successful associates, get to the levels that they're at. I've always said, Amazon is a very, very simple business in my mind, and maybe because I think simplistically, it's about finding that right product, finding and being able to source that right product, listing it properly, launching it properly, and then that ongoing growth process, which consists of customer service, getting ongoing reviews, things of that nature. We're gonna dive deep into that stuff. There's not gonna be any fluff, no bull crap. As I said in the video, this is not going to be some we're going to go see the Great Wall of China or the Terracotta Museum. No, this isn't a tourist trip. This is hardcore, serious business. No fuss, no, just getting down and dirty and teaching those things again that we have used to grow our business. Then we're going to spend a couple days at the Canton Fair. So part of the training is how to work the Canton Fair, how to work and negotiate with vendors. I've been fortunate enough at these events being able to partner with vendors where in one scenario they were fronted me $250,000 in products. So that's very, very important. And that's, for me, that was a game changer, because one of the biggest challenges most people have during fast growth is cash flow. Well, when you got a partner over in China that's fronting you the product, cash flow now becomes a non-issue, and now you can take the things we teach you and put them on steroids and go. The other thing that I think is critical to mention is, and you mentioned it briefly, is the people that we're bringing with us. What Liz and I have done is we've handpicked some of our close friends that are just super, super successful, some of which doing over $1 million a month, most of which doing between $500,000 and $1 million a month consistently in Amazon. And these are just super smart people, super giving, super loving, giving people that are open to network, teach, and share. And they're going to be sharing at this event as well. It's just not going to be Liz and I, because we don't want to bore you after a while. But, I mean, these are just amazing people. And these people are some of the people that have helped me get to the level that I've been able to get to. And what I found early on is if you want to call one of the, I get people asking me all the time, how'd you do it? What was your secret to success? I mean, a big part of it was early on, I surrounded myself. I was fortunate enough to surround myself with some of these amazing people, some of which are the ones that are coming. These people were super successful, super smart, and they were super giving. And they were there for me to guide me through these uncharted waters of Amazon, and it really helped me shortcut my way to success. And it also really started was my first trip to China. And actually, I got one of my buddies from that trip that keeps texting me. Stop texting me, John Gaynor. I love you, pal. Stop texting me. But Johnny is a guy that I met on that first trip to China. We roomed on the cruise ship, and from that trip, I was just able to create some of these amazing relationships that have been crucial to my success. And so, being able to surround yourself with people like this is priceless. It has been for me, and I know Liz and I have had this conversation, and it has been for Liz. Amazon is a constantly evolving and changing machine, and being able to associate yourself with these people and being able to collaborate with these people and building these relationships, it kind of keeps you on that edge as things are changing. And so for me, that's probably one of the coolest things that we're bringing to the table in this event. I mean, we couldn't have put together a greater group of people. And I mean, when I say great, I'm on so many different levels, just great, amazing human beings. I mean, people that I sincerely, I love these people. But not only that, they're just super smart, super experienced, and super successful Amazon sellers. So in a nutshell, that's what we're doing. Unfortunately, you know, we do have a couple spots open. This thing, I didn't expect it to take off like this. So we're very, very appreciative of those who are joining us, and anyone else that wants to join us. You're welcome to come. I promise you, you will not regret it. It's easy for me to say that, but it's because I've experienced it. I've been with these people. I've been able to grow a lot from the networking opportunities that I've had with the right people, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, I've put the word out again and again. This is just my strongest endorsement. This is something I've personally gone through. This is a transformation I've personally gone through with Liz in the field. I know most of the people personally that John and Liz were discussing in terms of those people that are going to be at the event. It's exhilarating to get to meet them. It's really only in this kind of an intimate one-on-one setting where that can happen. And it's extraordinary. Now, of course, somebody could ask, well, is it possible to have success and not going to China? Well, I mean, David Fripp didn't go to China, and he did great. So absolutely, and plenty of people haven't been able to do that. Now, in my opinion, would David done bigger, faster, stronger if he'd gone to China? Well, of course. This is one of those things where, of course, if it's just completely out of the question for you to go, then great. You're actually massively benefiting from the event. Because of this event, we've been able to provide quite a bit of additional insight, training, and bonuses from John and from Liz in your OMG members area that we really wouldn't have been able to include if we weren't doing this event. It just kind of increased all of our activation energy and really got us on our A game. We've thrown some bonus webinars and added some additional tips and training into your Amazon members area. We've been really glad to do that. So this is a win-win for everybody. And that said, at the same time, it's just what John said. The reality is, no matter how much we love OMG, no matter how much we care about it, and just focus on it, what I cannot do is pick up Guangzhou and stuff it into your members area. I can't do it. I don't know how. I mean, maybe there's some, that could be like a great fantasy movie, right? Where somebody opens up an OMG members area and, they click on the link for Amazon training on China, and a portal opens in the world, and they just step right into their computer, and they're in China with John and Liz, and they're able, to accommodate every single OMGer, hundreds of OMGers all at the same time, and walk them through, just walking into the Canton Fair for the first time and sitting them down and helping them understand how that product is going to translate into a promotion, how that special blue widget that you find, or that nifty toy that you find, or whatever, how that's going to be launched, the specifics of it. Like I said, you come to these forks in the road. I would really, really love. In fact, I try to make OMG as much like that kind of fantasy as I told you. We really do. We really try to bring things alive for you and make it clear and dynamic and excited and grounded in real information. We do that. But at this point, there's really nothing more that we know of that can bring you this incredible experience that I personally have gone through. I personally have experienced this. It is transformational. Everybody who I know who attended, I know several other OMGers who Liz was gracious enough to kind of take us through, because this is tested, this is proven. Everybody who went with us has just thrived. It's like one for one. It's incredible. And so what I can't do, I can't shove China in your members area. This is the next best thing. And yes, it is limited. I truly, in my heart of hearts, wish that every single person on this webinar right now just teleport straight to China, and even just get a brain transplant. That'd be even better. I would, just have Dr. Frankenstein wire John and Liz's brain together and jack it straight into your brain. I'd do it in a second. We try really hard to make that kind of stuff possible. That said, it's not possible at this time. We have taken it to every level that we can. And the bottom line is that for a small handful of individuals, at the end of the day, you're going to be going shoulder to shoulder with John and Liz, with this incredible group of individuals that are out there, and it's going to be an absolute game changer. So if you're on the fence, what all I'll say is, if you're on the fence, you're crazy if you don't go. I mean, if you're all on the fence, if you're thinking, I'm not sure about my time, or I have this commitment, that's something I promised to do, or someone that's counting on me. I get that, but just really to stop and think about having a 6-figure per month or 7-figure per month Amazon business, and then you tell me. And of course, you can do it. And is it slower to do it without going to China? It is. Okay, like anybody who's been to China will tell you, it's just going to be faster on Amazon if you've got that connection, especially. And it's not just going to China. I mean, to have it this way, so it's structured, it's clear, and John and Liz have just absolutely obsessed about this. They've tapped me and David Mills to help them shape the way things are going to be. They've reached out to all their friends and contacts. They've cashed in a bunch of favors to get as many people as big of an advantage as possible. I'm really proud of it, and I'm proud to share this with you. Even though I don't have any financial stake in this whatsoever, I'm really excited to bring this to you, and just to have that kind of thing where Liz and John can sit in a classroom setting and fully relate, these China-specific decision points and moves and promotions and everything all together in real time, real world, real specific. I mean, it's just really exciting. And by the way, one more kind of silver lining for anybody who can't attend this event for whatever reason. You should be cheering on the people that are going, because they're going to come back just like David Fripp did. And what are they going to be doing? They're going to be paying it forward and sharing advice, and because their business is going to be exploding, and maybe that person will be the next Susan Ann McDowell, or maybe that person will be like the next Mike Bittler, or whatever, the next Mandy Payne. And that's just really exciting for everybody, because it's a rising tide floats all boats. It's great news that they're doing this event. I was the one who told them to, I really wanted them to do this event. I was really, really strong with it. One of the first times that John and I ever got on the phone, I was like, you got to do this with Liz. And so I'm personally very excited about it, even though I don't have a direct business influence. I'm doing this purely out of my greedy heart, where I am so viciously, ruthlessly greedy to get earnings reports. It just gets me so fired up that that I'll even work. I could be like on the side of the street holding up a sign saying we'll work for earnings reports. So here I am today, purely working for earnings reports, because I really, really believe in this, and I know this is going to be a humongous game changer. I want to give Liz kind of a little bit the last word on this, and then we're going to dive into your questions. We did things a little bit in a reverse order today. Usually if we have a bit of a lesson, we'll try to field questions first. But just I kind of had a sense, just because I knew it was going to be a little bit later for David Fripp, that starting earlier and starting up front with his incredible story would be the best way to go. But anyways, Liz, let me let you have the last word on this China mastermind as we close out this in the next few hours here on that, and then we'll move on to people's questions.
Yeah, I think the most exciting thing about it is the number one way that I grew my business is from actually having relationships with people that I met at masterminds. It was actually, sadly to say, it was not the content involved in the masterminds. It was the relationships that I built with people like Jen, Kevin, met John there. I'm trying to think who else I actually met that I still am. Mattson and Morgan, I met from a mastermind. Another guy, Mark Passay, I don't think he's an OMG. I met Joe Miller, who's actually in here through a mastermind. I just actually talked to him on Skype yesterday. I'm trying to see the other names that are in here. I know I saw Elena in here earlier, so I definitely met Elena through there. I think I met Vivian Williams through there. And all the people that every day, like if I have a question and I know that they have an expertise in something, I ask them something. You know, so most of the people that I've actually met, oh, I see Maria in here. I met her in a mastermind. I'm just scrolling through the names. So I think my point is that I get to know people that I actually go to these masterminds with, and I know that they're people that are serious about their business, and I kind of learn a little bit about them and learn what they sort of specialize in, and then I always like to follow up after I go to masterminds, and I follow up and I send them a follow-up email, and I usually send them a tip. Um, I think Suzanne McDowell, I met her at a seminar, not actually a mastermind, so that's something a little bit different. But at masterminds, I always follow up with those people and see what exactly I can offer them, and then I try and remember something that they said about themselves and see what they can offer me. And at some point is where I sort of start like a relationship with these people. And again, these are the people that I still talk to on a daily basis. And I think the important thing to understand is that that's the most important thing about a mastermind, because you can almost take those people home with you in a way and be able to ask them anything that you want. So the point is that what we've done in this mastermind that's going to be really super sexy is the fact that there's going to be a group of people around 25 that are going to actually be learning all the techniques that we talk about, but then there's also going to be just about half that amount in mentors, which are people that I've actually met in masterminds and or John has met, and these are people that we find are extremely valuable people, like Susan Ann McDowell, and a couple other special people that we have not mentioned, but there's going to be quite a bit of them there on hand in order to like help others, and they're going to be wanting to pay it forward, and that's why I think this one is going to be the best one that we'll ever have if we decide to have another one, because of the fact that we're putting together a real nice group of people that all provide some sort of value, and I know that they've provided a tremendous amount of value in my life, so I'm sure that they're going to do the same thing for the people that actually attend. So it's just such a great opportunity to create long-term, like lifelong relationships and friendships with the people that are there. And again, I can tell you that is the single most important. That's actually the only reason that my business has actually exploded. It's not because I went to some mastermind here or there. It's because I created lifelong relationships with people that I met at masterminds. And again, I'm super excited to actually be doing this, and I'm super excited to actually be meeting every single person that signed up one-on-one and create a lifelong friendship with those people that are actually going, because that's the most important thing to me, is making them feel like they got their money's worth and then becoming friends, because you never know. There's probably, I'm going to tell you this straight out, there's probably going to be an attendee there that's going to change the way I think about something, and they're going to make a dramatic impact on not just my life, but on a lot of other people's lives, because I'll be able to take something that they taught me and put my own special spin on it, and then have something that just works out like, you know, like it's magic. So
Like magic, I love it. Go ahead.
One last thing that I did want to mention is I know Ty wanted to mention to David Fripp that there actually is a service similar to what he's looking for in the actual UK called automcf.com, and that'll do the same thing that Joe Lister does. However, it'll do it in the UK.
I just found that, Liz, and funny enough, that was the exact software I'd looked at a few months back, and it did at that time. I didn't find that it did the UK, so it does now. So thank you very much, Ty.
And see, that's exactly the thing that I'm talking about. I met Ty through an actual mastermind that we were in, and Ty just randomly volunteered that information to give to David. But that just goes to show how important relationships are, and the value that you get from those relationships. A lot of people are always like, oh, we shouldn't share these secrets with other people, but what they're not understanding is that there's plenty of business out there for everybody, and that's why it's so important to collaborate and kind of form these relationships with people, because you never know when you're going to need somebody's help on something. Somebody's an expert in something that you're not.
Yeah, Liz, I really agree with you. And it's not just it's not even just that there's enough for everybody. Of course, in a sense, that's true. But really, the biggest difference is you just got to realize that and if you're having trouble with this, you want to go through David Mills' new rundown series and his new Q&A series on law of implication. The people who are successful on Amazon in the main, almost to a man, they all believe and act in accordance with the idea of abundance. So they're not sitting there thinking the Amazon pie is going to be such and such size no matter what, and I just want my piece of that pie. That's scarcity thinking, and it just actually literally doesn't work. In fact, it's just purely counterproductive and miserable way to live your life. I've done it myself, and it's horrible. I've split tested it for you. And what these A-type players like Liz, like John, like David Fripp, and like so many other people that we're naming again and again, what they do is, first of all, they're very pleasant and they're on point and they're positive and they're focused, but fundamentally they believe and accurately and correctly, they believe in abundance in this sense that what they're going to do is go in and make the pie bigger and take their slice out of that bigger pie. So it's kind of like completely win-win. It's funny. I'm actually just getting text messages from Dima right now to give people an idea how these real top level how these true top level Amazon, these seven figure types like Liz and John operate. Dima just paid $135,000 for one mastermind. He believes in this kind of stuff that much. So you can certainly compare that to what's on the table with Liz and John, and of course what they've got is just vastly more valuable. So anyways, I really believe in this. You can go over to omgmachines.com/liz-john-mastermind.php to get started. And what we're going to do at this point, and again, my 100% full-on heartfelt endorsement, if you even want to get on the phone with me and talk about this, I would be willing to do that. And so that'll give you a little bit of an idea here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the top. If you have questions, please start inputting them. If you haven't asked them yet, I'm going to go back to the very beginning of the event and start combing through and looking for questions. Those questions may have already been individually answered as we come along and come through things. There was actually something that I wanted to ask David Fripp that just kind of flitted in and out of my brain, so hopefully I'll remember that. But right now, currently, it's kind of gone by the wayside. So what I'm going to do is actually begin with a question that we got from an OMGer, a brand new OMGer, and it was on retail arbitrage. In fact, I already know I want to bring Ty live. So Ty, if you're packing packages or something like that, I'm about to bring you live because this is going to be in yours and Liz's wheelhouse especially. So let me pull up this question. I know what the question is. I just want to properly credit the person who asked the question. It just for a second escaping my it's the wrong place. Here we go. Chester. It was from Chester. Let me see if Chester's actually on the event right now. Yep, Chester is on. Hey, Chester. All right, so what Chester said, this is a great question, and this is completely in Ty's wheelhouse, and of course Liz knows a lot about this stuff as well. Let me actually, yeah, it's funny. It's great. I always get a great audience with these things, by the way. Really wonderful people in the audience. Okay, I'm going to make Ty an organizer right now, and then I'm going to ask this question. So it's from Chester. Chester says, hey, I'm new. What stores, what like for Amazon arbitrage and scaling, what stores are going to offer the most bang for the buck? This is a great question. So Chester asks, I'm a newbie. What specific stores would offer the most bang for the buck when you're getting started with retail arbitrage as a beginner? Ty, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. You interrupted my packing and shipping, but thank you.
Yeah, well, Ty, thank you so much for being so gracious and allowing yourself to be interrupted. Everyone, please thank Ty. She can see your comments, and she's coming on volunteering. Do you you're incredible at this. I saw the list that you sent over to Era for Miami. You just like boom, like you just did a little bit, or well, however much research you did, and you're like boom, boom, boom. You need to do this. You need to do this. How would you field this question?
Actually, that's a really loaded question because it depends geographically, first of all. But you never know like what's going to be on sale at any particular store at any particular time. You can always hit up the usual Walmart, Target, Big Lots, what have you. But I would say the best bang for your buck is to try to find a salvage or a liquidation store in your area. I think that was something I had mentioned to Era or sent to Era. I just kind of did like a general search. Sometimes if you're actually in that city, you may, Google may not favor you more and give you kind of a better search. So if you just look up like, I don't know, um, so San Francisco, see, like San Francisco, if you start to look up like salvage stores in San Francisco, liquidation, San Francisco, banana box, San Francisco, those type of stores where you might find merchandise that's still new, but this has been liquidated for pennies on the dollar. That's really where you're going to get the biggest for your those type of stores.
Consider is how much time he has to dedicate and how much budget he has to dedicate. Again, it depends on time and budget, but if he has a good amount of time and not so much a good budget, then I would suggest, thrift stores. Thrift stores are always good places, and garage sales and or swap meets, which were always one of my favorite. Unfortunately, swap meets, they're really hot and they're really sticky, especially if you live where I do. And so that's one spot where most people skip out on, but I've found some excellent stuff at swap meets. Every single time I go to a swap meet, I find at least one vintage plush animal, and I usually sell it for quite a bit. So again, it just depends on those things, but I think Ty's answer was really good.
Yeah, I mean, it actually 100% jives with your experience. Like really understanding that local to you, that liquidator thing. You actually have something along those lines in your area, Liz, that's still to this day benefiting you to the tune of about $50,000 per month that you're making off of it.
Right, and that's just a store that is local. So yeah, you always want to check out your local stores. But again, usually that kind of stuff is once you start having a bigger budget, and then you want to start looking at them. It's actually not like a closeout store or anything. It's like a local store. So it's just going to depend on those two things, time and budget. And like Ty said, there's so many different routes you can take it. Closeout and salvage was one of them. I just mentioned swap meets and garage sales. Another thing is just like a dollar store. Even if there's dollar stores in the area, you can make a lot of really nice bundles at dollar stores that sell pretty well.
One of Jin's secret weapons is Walgreens. Jin
Walgreens,
has completely crushed it. Yeah, the clearance stuff at Walgreens. She would actually show up, and the manager would just come out and bring shopping carts to her. And this is like store after store after store. I mean, it's funny, Liz. You and I were actually touring Los Angeles with Jin, and we went to some of our old stomping grounds. There was that jewelry store we went into, and we came in, and they threw a parade for her. They were like, they were so excited that Jin walked in. They a band came out and started playing music, and people started celebrating and popping the champagne. I mean, of course, I'm being a little bit of an exaggeration, but it was nuts. I mean, those people were just so excited to see Jin there. And the reason I kind of point this out is that a lot like with SEO client consulting, one of the great things about this Amazon arbitrage and scaling is that every area, if you're in Oakland, like Ty is, it's a completely different landscape. In fact, North Oakland will be a completely different landscape for SEO client consulting as if you lived, further to the east or something like that. It's just going to be very, very different dynamics. And it can be a small town, it can be a big town, what have you. There's going to be the opportunities there. So there's regional opportunities. Really make your Amazon arbitrage and scaling a really delicious experience because there's so much opportunity. You could have 100 OMGers in a relatively small city size, and they could all be doing SEO client consulting and be extremely successful. By way of comparison, same thing with Amazon arbitrage scaling. By the way, OMG is so small, I don't think we have a single city where we have 100 people in them. Not even New York City or Los Angeles. But regardless, you kind of get my point here. That there's such a regional opportunity with Amazon arbitrage and scaling. So really, really pay careful attention to that. Okay, I'm going to go to the question box, and I need to pull up a little notepad for everybody here. So hopefully I can find something.
Before you, hey Mike, let me. Can I say
Absolutely, Ty.
I think Ty had something to say to add.
something? Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
No, not that well, Ty.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say to the arbitrage person, one thing that is key if you're just starting out is to be consistent and create a route. I tell everybody that I sort of talk to about this is be consistent and create a route. And the more that you know a store, the faster you'll be able to get in and out because you'll be able to identify when something is new versus something that has just been on the shelf that you've already scanned before that you know it's not going to work. So the more that you're going to the same stores, you can get in and out just like that, and that'll save you time as well.
Awesome. That's really nice advice there. Okay, we are going to go to the questions, and what I need to do in order to do that well is I need to be able to pull up a notepad. Unfortunately, I have all these I have all these secret files that Jimmy Kelly just sent me, and so I can't pull any of those up because I can't. None of that stuff can get out in the public. So I need to be able to find a way to pull up a notepad without compromising any information here. So let me see if I can force quit out a notepad and start it back up without some sort of a webinar catastrophe here.
I thought you were about to pull up some office porn, Mike.
No.
Since you just talked about it.
That's so funny.
One other thing that I was going to mention, it was just a joke, everyone. Mike talked about office porn earlier. If you were paying attention, you would have gotten the joke. McDowell liked the joke a lot, actually.
Good. Great.
One other thing I just wanted to point out to people while you pull that up, Mike, is the fact that also building relationships with a supplier, sort of like Jen did with her jewelry, is like no different than building relationships with your fellow Amazon sellers. There's actually a couple suppliers that I would have a similar reaction to when I would go visit, like Jen did at the jewelry store. In fact, I got to know them so well that I actually recruited an employee from one of the actual stores, and he's actually one of my new assistants. He decided to quit there, and I just knew he was a really hard worker. He would always help me out, and I wound up just taking him from the store, and now he's like one of my new assistants. So it's really awesome to actually create that relationship, and like I said, you never know when the next person that you meet out there could actually be your next employee.
I'm now rooting through the questions here. We had kind of like a lot of comments that were really great. Let's see. All right. Yep. That it was Joe Lister, Suzanne McDowell. Oh, that makes now I remember what I was going to ask David Fripp if he's still there. David, you just did a promotion with Suzanne McDowell, and you posted some test results, and I was so excited to see this. It's one of the things that makes OMG so exciting.
I think you've got the wrong David, Mike.
What's that? Sorry about that. David, did I get you confused with somebody?
I didn't actually do that with Susan.
Oh,
I didn't actually do that. I think that must be another David.
I think it was Dinker. Wasn't it Dinker Sage? It was Dinker and Theo.
It was
both
Andrew
posted about it.
Andrew and Theo. Let me do this instead. Why don't we just get it straight from the horse's mouth, and we'll bring Susan on here, and we can ask her for some recent brute force test results. So give me 1 second here. And Susan. Here we go. Yeah, I don't know how I got that switched up, David. Okay, so here we go. Susan, are you there? Oh, not yet. No, there we go. Susan, are you there?
I am here.
Wonderful. Susan, can you give us an update on?
It was not. I just want to say I would love to help you, David, but David and I haven't been formally introduced yet.
We have now. Hi.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
No, the results that we're seeing are still consistent with what we've seen before the terms of service change. Giveaways with naked URLs are producing rank increases, and the sales velocity is still working, and I haven't had one person, I shouldn't say this, knock on wood, that's worked with me change. So the results are still coming in from doing free giveaways with an appropriate volume for your niche and your product.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that. I haven't seen anybody have an issue that I know, so I don't really. I mean, I'm not sure as well.
all right, great.
Yeah, if we're waiting for Mike, I think there is a delay.
Yeah, it seems like somehow my audio track got pretty significantly off. Puts me in a little bit of an awkward situation because I'm the one getting the recording. Liz, would you do me a favor? If you're on your Mac, would you start recording this event, and I'm going to log out and log back in. Can you do that?
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, I can start recording it.
I would also say that I've had some people do a lot. I mean, I had somebody do 350 last week, and had good results and no problems with seller performance.
Great. All right, I'll be right back.